Paige Dimakos, if the college football playoffs started today, we would have an opening round matchup of Vanderbilt versus Georgia Tech. I want to ask this question. Is Vanderbilt making the college football playoffs good for college football or bad for college football?
I think it's great for college football. I think it's great for college football because one of the things that makes the NFL great is that continuously through years upon years, there's always an opportunity for fans to believe that their teams can win and can get in. And for a long time, with the BCS and the way that this has worked in college football, it has taken a long time to get to a point where there is actually truly, yes, you're going to have your blue bloods and your powerhouses, but there is an opportunity for teams that are non-traditional to have an opportunity to come in and make a splash. And Vanderbilt's one of those teams now. You're not talking about a one-off situation. You're talking about they went to Alabama. They had the big win against Alabama last year. Now they come back this year. They're a top team. They've had some significant wins. They're building momentum. They've got a good coaching staff. That's something they can build on. And football programs, if you can have a couple of years of sustained success, you can get people to believe in you and you can get money to develop your program. When we all know football is king when it comes to putting money behind your college and putting money behind your program. So I think for me, it's exciting to watch. Obviously, I like to have the balance of the blue bloods and some new fresh faces. And I think that's where we've ended up here with if this college football ended today, we have this fun bracket that has quite a few of the old school big time programs with some new faces. And I think that's driven by NIL, that's driven by quarterbacks, and that's driven by the ability to kind of flip your roster much faster than you have in the past, and that's now coming to fruition as we're seeing in college football.
Yep, Paige Dimakos historically, right? And when I say historically, for the past year, we've been doing draft club. I've been all about the blue bloods. You've
Yes,
been
you
about
have.
a balance, right?
Yes.
Balance of blue bloods and a couple new schools sprinkled in
Yeah,
there.
for
So
sure.
I should be going with strictly the blue bloods, but I'm gonna say this: Vanderbilt is proven. So I think it's good for the
You coming
college
to the
football.
good side.
Nah.
Look at how I've
It's
slowly but surely inched him over here.
it's the okay side. But reason why I even say that with Vanderbilt, first of all, they play in the SEC.
I
right?
knew that was gonna happen.
Second of all, they have proven wins. Like this is
Yeah,
a
for
proven
sure.
football team from last year. They're not. I wouldn't even call them necessarily a Cinderella story
No.
because the Cinderella movie was last year, right? Is that they came out of nowhere and they beat Alabama. They took
For sure.
Texas to the brink, right? And they were a tough out for a lot of football teams. This year, they've already taken down teams like LSU, right? They've taken Alabama to the brink again at Alabama. So
Yeah.
I think Vanderbilt is a proven football team that deserves it because of the consistency that they've had as a program. And that quarterback, Diego Pavia,
Yeah.
this guy, you talk about David versus Goliath,
Yeah.
right? He has that David attitude,
He's
right?
got the moxie,
Yeah, and
baby.
everybody told him he was too small. We watched was that Saturdays Down
Yeah.
South show,
Yep.
right? And you seen the toughness, the grit that he has as a quarterback, and that
sure.
he still holds that chip on the shoulder of everybody skipping over him because they said he was too small, and he plays with that chip. So
sure.
I like Vanderbilt being in the playoffs.
I think the Vanderbilt situation, much like the Indiana situation, are you get the right coach, you get the right quarterback, and you can flip this really quickly. You're talking about 2 years now back to back with both programs where you had success and you came back and you proved that you belong. Same thing with ASU. I think about ASU also, another team that came, showed they belong, got a big win against Texas Tech this past weekend. The only reason that they're really in the position that they're in is because Sam Levitt had to sit out a game and the backup quarterback could not play against Utah, was not the same caliber of talent. So I think those are a few programs that you've seen. They're not Cinderella stories, to your point. They are now teams that have come in, they made a splash, they had their moment, and they came back and they built off their moment. And that's why I think that's exciting for college football, because it's not just March Madness Cinderella story. These are sustaining programs. These are getting donors. ASU got the most amount of money donated to their program ever. That matters. That's going to have sustained long-term impact for the Valley. They've had the most amount of sellouts that they've had over the last 2 years with Kenny Dillingham. That matters. The economic impact for the school, that matters. These are long-term things that happen, and it starts with the coaches. They got the coaches right. All three of those situations, the coaches were the right coaches for those situations, and that can turn things around so quickly, and you're seeing it play out. And it's a fun thing to play out when we're talking about the college football playoff, because good Lord, it's never been more open than it's been this year.
Yeah, wide open. And it being wide open, it leads to Not just Vanderbilt, right, but quite a few non-traditional powerhouses being inside of this college football bracket that we have right now. So we about to have a little fun here, play a little contender pretender, right? It's time to put some people on the hot seat around here. And I'm gonna start at the very top. Well, not in number 2. I'm gonna start with the Indiana Hoosiers. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I bought in too early last year.
Okay.
But I'm happy to come cash that check now.
Okay.
Because they are a contender with a capital C. This is not a team that is a pretender any longer. And I know you desperately want to say it, and you better not. Because Kurt Signetti is here to stay. What did he tell you? You can Google me. You want to know why? Because all he does is win. That is one of the most ridiculous, arrogant things I've ever heard anybody say. And all he's done is back it up. And what he's done, he's a tough coach. That's a team that went in to Oregon, to Eugene, and out-physicaled Oregon, out-muscled them. It was an unbelievable performance, and Fernando Mendoza, as much as we have made jokes about him looking like he's selling us insurance or being a business major, the man is genius, and he's playing some of the best football in college right now, and is, for my money, QB1 as it stands right now. And listen, he's not the guy we thought was going to be QB1 coming into the year, but he's the QB1 that we have right now. And I can't, when you talk about being a contender, there is no team that scares me when it comes to playing Indiana. There's just not. It's them and Ohio State. Yep. The most complete teams, the most dominant teams, the teams that have the best wins, the teams that have shown up in big moments. And listen, Kurt Signetti, Google me, baby. I love that. I love that. I'm going capital C contender.
Capital C contender. Okay, the Indiana Hoosiers, are they contender or pretenders for me? I'll say this. My heart says they're pretenders. But I have to give them credit for what they've done on the football field, going to Oregon. They are contenders. You go to Oregon in that situation, right, a hostile environment, on the road, and Fernando Mendoza's biggest game by far, right? And you walk away with a dominant performance, making good throws, and then I'll give their wide receiver, Elijah Surratt, a lot of credit. He flat out dominated that secondary. He's up. He's ready for the gamut. He's going to be a top 50 pick if he continues to play like that. So I look at the Indiana Hoosiers. I say contenders.
And I told you, one of the things about Indiana that I think is underrated is the Kelley Business School is one of the best business schools, if not the best business school in the country.
Yeah, this is a little nugget right here.
This is the little drop. I'm dropping a dime for people that don't know. They have a lot of Fortune 500 CEOs that have come out of that business school. They are running to donate to this program. Indiana has been a traditional basketball school, but it's not because they didn't want to be a football school. Indiana is a place where they really support their teams. Look at the Indianapolis Colts. They might be the smartest fan base I've ever seen. They are quiet, silent when the offense is out on the field because these are smart fans. They're dedicated fans. Indianapolis is a huge media market. It's a huge sports market. And this is one of those things that I don't think if you're paying attention, if you don't know the Big Ten from the ins and outs, you may not know that. But the Big Ten's got a lot of great business schools. The Kelley Business School is one of the best, if not the best in the country. And they've got a lot of rich donors who are excited to donate to this program and get NIL popping. And Kurt Signetti signed a $90 million, some ridiculous deal, and extended him for 8 years because they were like, you're not going to Penn State, big dog. And that took about 2 seconds for that rumor to get taken care of.
Yep. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the team that Indiana built. The Oregon Ducks, in context of being in the Big Ten, right? You have Ohio State sitting there. You already lost a game to Indiana. You have a scrappy USC team there, a Michigan football team. Are the Oregon Ducks contenders or pretenders at this point?
Still contenders. Still contenders, and it's because I believe in Dan Lanning. Same with the coaching staff. I believe in Dante Moore, and I believe in the talent that the Oregon Ducks have on the football team. They had a lot of turnover, obviously, from last year to this year. They had a lot of guys go get drafted. But Dan Lanning has been able to come in and sustain recruiting there, sustain top guys staying there, and bring in the right guys. And Dante Moore is the guy that Mel Kiper has at the top of his big board, #1 overall player. Right. I think he's a little ahead of the curve.
Aggressive.
I'm not even sure Dante Moore's going to come out this year.
Right.
But this is a guy who is a special player. It's a guy you really like. And I think when you have quarterback, coach, and talent, that's all you need. And they've got a great environment. And I almost want to say it was good for them to get that loss out of the way because I think it put a lot of pressure on them last year that when they came back to that Ohio State game that second time around and got smacked, it was because there was a lot of pressure in that moment. And I think getting that out of the way now, that's over with now. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You've seen your weaknesses and you can kind of build off of that as you go forward.
Yeah, and I think this sounds so counterproductive when it comes to being competitive and winning, right? But almost sometimes losing kind of helps a little bit.
That's what happened to Ohio State last year.
Yeah, because you kind of got to show your warts a little bit, and then and there's times when you win football games, but you don't play great football.
Yeah.
So then you develop a habit of being average. Yeah. And that's what happened to the Oregon Ducks, right? And they ran into a buzzsaw in Ohio State.
Yeah.
They beat them by 40 points.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this. Let's go to South Beach, right? Let's go to South Beach. Let's talk about those Miami Hurricanes. Are they contenders or pretenders?
Pretender. The U is a pretender, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Been waiting for Carson Beck to show himself, and man, oh man, did he come back and rear that ugly head.
Yeah,
Carson Beck is a guy that we never root against players, but we got to evaluate what we've seen. Carson Beck last year was one of the tougher players to watch play football with Georgia. And he came back and has been playing pretty decent football throughout this year, but he's had his moments. And this was a categorical Carson Beck moment from last year. And the problem is when you have moments like that and things like that that starts to seep into your head where you're starting to doubt yourself already, this can become a problem. And Carson Beck is not a guy I believe in, and for that reason alone, I think this team is a pretender.
Yeah, so in context of making the playoffs, I think they're contenders. I think the Miami Hurricanes are contenders, and it's mostly
can't
because
win a title. I can't see him winning a title.
No, and that's what I was going to say, right? Winning a championship, no, because you have to win 3 or 4 straight games and in order to win a national championship. I don't see him playing 3 or 4 straight games where he has to be the guy and not have a blunder like he did against Louisville, right? Yeah. But I look at the Miami Hurricanes, and the reason why I say they're contenders is I look at the rest of the ACC, right? Like we thought Florida State was going to be a hot team. They're
Clemson.
not. Bill Belichick in North Carolina threw them out the window. Clemson, right? Throw them out the window too. So he might be potentially facing SMU or something like that again. And I think that they'll be one of the top 2 teams in the ACC, and I can see both of them getting bids. Let's wrap this up with a team that's off the radar, but you're familiar with, right? You took a trip or 2 there. Let's talk about BYU. Are they contenders or pretenders?
Oh man, I so desperately want to say they're a contender, but this team doesn't have enough. They're one of those teams that does this. BYU nearly does this every year, where they're in the top 15 about halfway through the year, and everybody's believing in them. And it's because they've got a damn good football coach, and they have the most underrated environment in all of sports. Literally, it is one of the craziest, most rambunctious, most insane environments to go into. Talk to anybody that has played there on a Friday night. It is nuts. It is like, you want to go see something, go watch them at the Holy War. Utah versus BYU is insane.
Everything but holy, yeah.
Everything but holy is going on at that stadium. They're saying all sorts of things from up top. But I want to believe in them because I really like their coach. I just don't have enough talent to really compete for a championship this year.
Yeah, I'm going to say pretender also, and I'm simply saying pretender because they fall in that bracket of smaller schools to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of get back to my basics, right? If I'm not buying into small schools, I need these big
He's a hater on the Big 12. He's out on the Big 12.
Yeah, I'm out on it. Okay, let's do this. Let's wrap up. Last one. South Florida sits at number 12 right now. Contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders. Fun story. Cinderella.
There we go. That's what I like to hear, Mr. Dimakos. Come on, let's talk about
Fun
it.
story, Cinderella, but I'm not falling for the trap like I did last year. You got to come back. The reason you got to come back and have sustained success next year. If you come back, you have another good year, I'll believe in you. But when it comes to, hey, you're going to have to face Georgia in the first round, at Georgia, that's how things would look.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm taking Georgia plus, I'm giving them probably 10 points in that game. Probably 2 touchdowns in that game. It's just, South Florida, you're not ready for that gigantic jump quite yet. I think what they've done is great. What they've done, they've proven that they belong. They've proven that they can be the team of last year that comes in and has a lot of fun. But I don't believe in them as a true contender quite yet.
There we go. A little bit of influence going on. And I'm going to say the same thing. South Florida, pretender, right?
It's like Boise State from last year.
Yeah, and you talk about Boise State had Ashton Genty was a top 10 pick, right?
Correct.
Who does South Florida have to lean on? I know the quarterback, Byron Brown, is playing pretty good football, but you got to be a dominant guy, right, in order to beat a Georgia, Alabama, things of that nature. So I'm gonna say pretender too for South Florida, and I think this is a prime location where if you're Oklahoma, Tennessee, one of those teams sitting on the outside, you're kind of licking your chops and saying, let's go ahead and take that spot.
Yeah, we'll see. There's got to be a non-power 4-5 school that's got to make it in eventually. So that's the way that the playoffs
set it up.
sits.
Yeah,
there's going to be one of them,
yeah,
right? So
one
of those teams, like a couple of the teams that are on the outside of this bracket as of right now, Oklahoma, Tennessee. You're looking at, I believe there's another Notre Dame. Those are the teams that are sitting on the outside. Yeah, it's all of a sudden we're looking and we're going, damn, there's going to be a good team or two that ends up on the outside this year, just like it does every year. We expand it from 4 to 12, and we're still not happy. Still going to be people pissed off. But it's time for some buy or sell.
Let's do it.
It's time for some buy or sell brought to us by our friends over at Panini America. If you need to buy any trading cards, there's only one place that you go. It is PaniniAmerica.net. That is the only website you should ever visit. And you definitely want to start trading cards, and you gotta check out some of the pack breaks that they're doing right now because they've got some of their new flawless line coming out for the NFL rookies. Some of my favorite, the rated rookie collection. But let's get into this. Miami won't make the ACC title game. Are you buying or are you selling that?
I am selling it.
Okay.
I think they still make it. And
okay.
I keep going back to it. I don't believe
You believe in Carson Beck?
I believe in the team enough, and I don't. There's more, so I don't believe in the ACC.
Yeah, I get you.
That's my point. I don't believe in the rest of what the ACC has. If Florida State would have been Florida State that beat Alabama, then I'd have said they'd have been in trouble. But they've lost to everybody else since they beat Alabama. It's been crazy.
Okay, I'm with you on that one. All right, this is my favorite one. The Big Ten is the best conference in college football. Checks notes. The first team, Big Ten. Second team, Big Ten. Sixth overall team, Big Ten.
Sell some more. The SEC always reigns supreme in here. And this is amongst a bunch of Big Ten people. I'm standing 2 feet down. The SEC is the best conference. Will remain the best conference. It's where all the talent comes from. We are the tougher, grittier. We the best athletes. The SEC, the best teams. The end.
Last time I checked, back-to-back national champions came from the Big Ten. The most draft picks came from the last 2 years, the University of Michigan and the University of Ohio State. This year, the most amount of draft picks that go in the first round will be from the University of Ohio. Don't worry about it. You can enjoy your fake land. We all know what's coming for you. We all know what's coming for you.
SEC.
If Ohio State wins again and you got 3 in a row, you're going to have a tough road.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're going to have a tough road.
The past 20 years.
Hey, we saw what happened when Tennessee came up north. We gave a little something to the South.
We
told the South what was up when they came up north.
20 years of resume.
All right, next one. Diego Pavia should be the Heisman favorite. Buying or selling?
I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Just had another big win against LSU.
What a great story.
Yeah, he's putting up great numbers. He has a tough road and gamut to go through, right? He still has a lot of tough opponents left on his schedule. There hasn't been a game where he's flat out played horrible. Yep. So I'm going with that. I think he still has spotlight games, great story, and he's playing good football, and he's carrying a non-traditional team. So I'm buying that he should be the Heisman favorite right now.
You're buying that he should be the Heisman favorite as of right now. All right, next one up, we're going at Jeremiah Love. One of your favorite players in the NFL draft, this upcoming, is the better college football running back than Ashton Genty, the last year's top 10 pick, Ashton Genty. Buying or selling that?
I'm buying it. And I'm buying it because he's doing it against high-level competition.
100%.
And he's putting up the same numbers, right? And we've seen it. When Ashton Genty went against the likes of like a Penn State when they played in the college football playoffs, he didn't look like himself. Had a couple fumbles. I think he was less than 50 yards rushing. Jeremiah Love is doing this against the top opponents in college football, and he's putting up ridiculous numbers. He is the locomotive, the engine for Notre Dame. So I'm buying that Jeremiah Love is a better draft prospect, and he's a better running back in college football.
And he has to split carries with another
and he's
running
still
back.
Jadarian Prince.
Yeah, which is insane because if he was workhorse back like Ashton Genty was, Ashton Genty wasn't splitting carries with a wide receiver and all. They just ran the entire offense through Ashton and Genty. Right. All right, the last one here in buy or sell. Chris Bell, guy you really like, you put on the radar last week, is wide receiver 1 for the 2026 NFL draft class.
Oh, man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because my guy's eating up. I'm going to go ahead and sell this. And I'm going to sell this, and I'm going to sell it. We're in the Valley. I'm going to stick with Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson reminds me of CeeDee Lamb, someone of that ilk. Yeah, and I think Chris Bell is creeping up there quickly, but at this moment, I'm going to still go with Jordan Tyson as wide receiver 1.
All right, you're going to stick with Jordan Tyson. Well, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time to give away the GOAT Award.
GOAT of the week.
Oh, yeah. This is shout out to my boy Eddie Denard, who was in town this weekend, okay, for our lovely event at the Pemberton. He runs the Denard Bro Runs. The GOAT Award, okay, we do this only when we have something to give away, right? And this week is very important. A few weeks ago, I gave away the GOAT Award to a woman in the state of Alabama who said if she won the Powerball, she would buy out Kalen DeBoer.
Yep.
Okay? I will buy out Kalen DeBoer, and I will buy out the AD. Well, you know what Alabama did this past weekend? They started smoking cigars in the stadium in the third quarter as they were beating Tennessee as a little bit of sweet payback to the University of Tennessee for what they did the year prior.
Yep.
And you know what? I ride with this version of Alabama. When Alabama is at their most arrogant, it is good for college football. It is funny to watch. It is entertaining. And the fact of the matter is, I didn't even know you were allowed to smoke in any stadium in America, and I'm pretty sure that you aren't. But guess what? The state of Alabama that has their own rules for college football, there was a cloud of cigar smoke at the top of the stadium. Shout out to my girl Molly Middleton. I saw she was smoking a cigar inside the stadium, the Senior Bowl's finest. I saw many of them inside there having a great time. Man, women, and child, they were all smoking cigars. And God bless the state of Alabama and how much they love football, because only you guys could go from we are buying out our AD and our head coach to 6 weeks later, we are smoking cigars inside our stadium to celebrate victories. It is truly insane how quickly you can go from that to that. So you guys get to go to war this week. Roll Tide.
You know what you're seeing? You're seeing a little edge from Alabama.
That's what
right?
I'm talking about.
Because they had a little failure at the beginning, and then they just needed a reality check and remember, like, kind of like, what is not to win games all the time,
you know what?
right?
It's so hard for you guys that you have to lose one game every 5 years. Like, I'm so sorry for you. I almost want to take the go to war away now after I just thought about it.
No, stay on the war.
We'll stay on track. We'll stay on track because it was one of the more cocky, arrogant fan base things I've ever seen, and I love that. It's good for sports.
That would go. It's good for the draft club.
It's good for the draft club. We love it. Shout out to our girl Molly Middleton from the Senior Bowl.
Yep, and that's how we're going to wrap up this episode of Draft Club. That's Paige Dimakos. I'm Keith Sanchez. This is Draft Club, players only.